Application window for fungicides. It must be stressed that petals are the target for fungicide applications. Fungicide applications prior to flowering are ineffective in controlling Sclerotinia. It is important to note that moisture is very important for the development of the disease. Moisture in the form of light rain, dew, mist or even high humidity in excess of 80% over a period of 2 weeks prior to commencement of flowering into early flowering are conducive to rapid disease development. Chemicals do not cure the disease as such, but prevent spores that land on petals from germinating. Good coverage of the target area is therefore important. The recommended time for application of fungicides is from 20 to 50% bloom. It is important to be able to accurately determine the stage of flowering of canola so as to apply the fungicide spray at the correct time for optimal results. 10% flowering. When there are at least 10 open flowers on the main stem. 20% flowering. When there are 14 to 16 flowers open on the main stem. 30% flowering. There are at least 20 open flowers on the main stem. A crop at 30% flowering will have only a few buds formed. 40% flowering. Pods are forming but only a few are elongating. 50% flowering. The crop is at maximum color development. It will still have a few unopened buds at the top of the main stem, and the lower pods will be elongating. 60% flowering. All the top buds will have opened. The crop will have begun to change color from a bright yellow to a dull yellow. Continuous moist conditions 2 weeks prior to the onset of flowering and during early flowering would require a fungicide application at between 20 and 30% bloom. Dry conditions prior to the onset of flowering, followed by moist conditions after onset of flowering, would be better served by an application from 30 to 50% flowering. Conditions remaining unfavorable for disease development, in other words hot and dry, until after 50% flowering, may make a fungicide application unwarranted. After 50% flowering, most of the flowers are on side branches. There is thus little risk of petals landing on the main stem to cause economic damage exists. Good coverage throughout the entire canola plant's canopy is essential to achieve optimum results. As the disease can cause severe yield losses, and the application of a fungicide is a calculated production input, it does not make economic sense to skimp on water volumes or to use ineffective application equipment. Ground application is always more effective than aerial application when conducted correctly. Because thorough coverage of blossoms throughout the canopy is important, it is recommended that a minimum of 300 liters of water per hectare be applied. Good management planning is required to ensure that the product is applied at the correct flowering stage for optimum results. The speed at which canola develops through the flowering stages under favorable weather conditions has often resulted in some fields being sprayed too late. Canola can develop from first flower to 50% bloom in under 2 weeks under favorable climatic conditions, which makes application timing critical. Should tractor spraying not be possible, aerial spraying with products registered for aerial application is an alternative. A minimum of 30 litres spray mixture per hectare, but preferably 40 litres per hectare, should be applied. Use only registered aerial application operators under SAS code 10118 with correctly calibrated aircraft. Some important factors to consider. The general recommendation regarding spore movement is not to plant canola within 500 meters of fields that were infected with Sclerotinia in the previous season. Other broadleaf crops, for example lupins, and weeds like Ramenas and MX Dibbelkie can serve as host plants, resulting in Sclerotinia infecting fields. No Sclerotinia-resistant canola cultivars are available in South Africa. Use quality seed. The danger of introducing Sclerotinia to the field with farm-retained seed does not warrant the risk. The acceptable norm to determine yield loss is 0.5% loss for every 1% infection. For severe infections, the ratio is closer to 1 to 1.